Friends, again with you on Ukrainian war, fifth day. If you look at the situation, nothing much has changed, yet there have been some noticeable changes, which I will list and then we'll see which direction it is moving and what we ought to be understanding and knowing about the whole geopolitical situation, not only in Europe, not only in Russia, but for the entire world, where USA is included, and even lessons for India. To start with, the Indian students and the people who are stuck in Ukraine, more than 10,000, they have tried to come to the border, Poland and other neighboring countries, from where they can take the flight, have been detained by Ukrainian police and in fact misbehaved and manhandled. Anyway, that's only for information. I am not going to analyze anything on this. United Nations General Assembly meeting, emergency meeting is going on, where the role of India as well as China is under scanner. India, because the Ukrainian government as well as NATO, European Union, USA, they would have loved to see India outrightly rejecting, denouncing the Russian aggression in Ukraine, which the government has decided to remain neutral. On the other hand, China too has remained neutral, which the pro-Russian people should have expected China to be supporting. By the way, Myanmar has supported fully. And other many small countries have supported, like LPR, DPR is expected, South Ossetia is expected. But in addition, from Latin America, like Nicaragua, Bolivia, from Arab countries, Syria, and many other countries will be supporting Russian movement like Palestine, Yemen, Iraq, Iran, etc. Reason being very simple. Russia has supported them in their hour of need, militarily also, economically, politically, of course. There is one more angle to it. I was seeing one of the video. There are thousands of them floating around, but this is pro-Russian video, and which says that Russia may not go for all-out capture of Ukraine. It will stop after capturing Kyiv, Ukrainian capital, maybe a little bit west of that, but it will not move in the western Ukraine, where the largest or biggest province is Lviv, Lviv, whichever way you pronounce, Lviv. Reason is that this region is close to Poland border, and trying to enter into that will be very difficult for Russian army to continue occupying it. In any case, it is not going to occupy the whole Ukraine for a longer time, it looks like. But this Western Europe, the part we are talking about, is infested badly by the right-wingers, Nazis, CIA, European Union intelligence, and their arms nations, dumps, etc. And then it is expected that the resistance will be heavy even after Russian army captures that part. But if that happens, so as per me, the Russian attack on Ukraine will not be what Russia claims. Russia claims it is going to denazify Ukraine, demilitarize Ukraine, and stop NATO's eastward movement, which is a direct threat to Russia. But it will become part of imperialist war, and where we can easily say, if this happens, that Ukraine is divided into two parts, like Germany was post Second World War. Part of imperialist war, with the underhand dealing where on one side USA and NATO forces, and second Russia. I don't know if it is stopped because of military weaknesses and economic sanctions, then it's a different matter. Let us see. But NATO moving into Western Ukraine is inconceivable at this moment, but it looks like, as per that video which I was talking about, is possible. Well, the another reason for a Russian military delay in taking over Kyiv and western part is its resolve to minimize the Ukrainian civilian casualties. It looks like, if you are talking about the civilian casualties, the imperialist war, the attack, look at what US, European Union military generals and others have done, the NATO have done in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen. It is the war in Yemen is going on. Palestine, the Zionists are continuing. Haiti, where the US had entered. In any case, once we are talking on this Ukrainian situation, who is controlling the Ukrainian military? That's a big question. It is not being controlled by Zelenskyy, the overnight hero, but CIA, NATO generals, directly and indirectly. All arms and ammunitions, the latest shipments coming there. Thousands and thousands of anti-tank missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, precision bombs, etc. It is not under the control of Zelenskyy by his side. After 2014, it is totally under the control of US imperialists. And the guidance is by them. Entire movement is by them, politically, economically, socially, militarily. And Nazism that is growing, that is also because of them. Anyway, the other latest news is that diplomatic talks has finally been agreed upon by Russian also to start in Belarus border. Let us see what's the outcome, but in the meantime, Russia has not agreed to stop war. It will continue because it does not want to give any time to Zelenskyy and his government to amass more and more weapons. And you think that the 10,000s of weapons given to civilians, they are really civilians? They are paramilitary forces, Nazis, trained by CIA and others in the past, since 2014. We must understand this small thing before outrightly rejecting Russian entry into Russia and equating Russian entry into Russia with that of US imperialist attack, which has been almost every year globally after Second World War. Well, how about answering by Zelenskyy, who talks about democracy and Ukrainian sovereignty, what it has been doing against LPR, DPR people, not only in his regime but before him after 2014, shelling into DPR, LPR, killing thousands of them, banned Russian languages, which 70% of the people in the eastern Ukraine were talking. They are using that language, their mother tongue. Banning Soviet era history and works, even talking is about them, was made illegal. Imagine. And you are talking about democracy? Banning Communist Party of Ukraine. And you are talking about democracy? All the monuments and statues of pre-2014 or Soviet era has been demolished. What is this? You call it democracy? On the instructions of European Union, NATO, USA, and you call yourself a sovereign nation? and allowing CIA to run your entire thing after Maidan coup. No, no, no. And especially my call to those liberals, pseudo-intellectuals who are jumping, crying, shouting on Russian aggression. By the way, there was a poll. A week back, only 26% of Americans supported NATO and USA military support to Ukrainian forces. Now that has risen to 70-75%. Immense propaganda everywhere. Media, social media, everywhere. And even the so-called vacillating middle class, petty bourgeoisie, they have fallen. In India, they have fallen. Whether they were pro RSS BJP government or anti, they all have united and saying that Zelenskyy is doing a great work and Russia is the evil. Look at that. Anyway, friends, I will bring the whole thing to an end now as far as today's episode is concerned. But what do we want? We will call for a free Ukraine, no interference from outside, whoever it may be, denazification, and people's democracy by the Ukrainian people. And with this, I am coming to an end. Thank you, friends.